Hey guys, welcome to this episode.
Yeah, we just wanted to do a quick little video before this episode starts to say thank you guys. The response to our last little update video just blew us away. You guys were so kind with your comments and support, and so we just wanted to say thank you. It keeps us inspired and wanting to keep making these videos. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you so much, and enjoy the episode.
Yep.
I'm Kelsey, that's Tim, and this is our rolling home, Dusty. We've been following our dreams of traveling around the world, and after making our way south,
We did it.
very south, COVID brought us back to the US. But now, finally, it's time to explore again. So come along for season 2. We can't wait to see where this adventure takes us.
Seems like a lovely spot to do a tire rotation. I'm getting smarter over the years. The dumbest place I've ever done a tire rotation is in the sand dunes of Borrtex. Obviously with all that unlevelness, it was a bit dicey and the truck nearly fell off the jack stands or the jack itself. Here, we're at an abandoned, probably was going to be a gas station, but it's beautiful concrete and we're right next to the highway. So I think we'll go ahead and do it here.
Yay.
So, you'll notice back on the South America trip, we had a safe jack, bottle jack with a plate and a lot of nice accessories. I've gone back to what I used for 20 years or something like that. It was one of those things I saw back when I first started desert racing. Just floor jacks, aluminum floor jacks. You rip the caster, you know, the wheels, all those pieces off, and you either weld on a skid plate, is what I used to do. This one is slightly modified and it's a bolt-on. So basically made a skid plate, made the mounts fit this particular style jack, and then if this thing dies, we can just get another aluminum racing jack, put the same skid plate onto it, remove all that. It ends up weighing, it obviously takes up a fair amount of space, but it weighs similar or a bit less than one high lift. So it's not that massive amount of weight, and it's so stable. It's its own sort of stable base. With the skid plate, depending on how big you make it, it works really well on the sand. So it's just easy. It works everywhere. Here on the asphalt, it'll obviously not slide quite as well, but in dirt, it slides really easily around underneath the truck. So to me, it's just, I don't know, it's what I'm used to. And then when the truck's up in the air, it's just so nice to know that it's not going anywhere because we don't carry jack stands. So the best I can do is maybe put a tire underneath the truck near where I'm working on it. So if the truck did fall off of this, at least it doesn't crush you. So you can do that. We also have a bottle jack that we carry. So that'd be our secondary jack. I think we're going to try and rotate the tires without using 2 jacks. You just have to do one at a time versus swapping corner to corner with 2 up in the air. And then we're also going to adjust the parking brake because on Land Cruisers the parking brake's pretty notorious for getting loose and doing nothing. And I know our left rear, I can hear it shaking and rattling. So maybe a spring or something came loose, but it's been rattling for at least a month now. And the parking brake still holds the truck, but I think the left rear is doing nothing. So I'm gonna go ahead and adjust it, get some tension back in it so it will hold the truck better. That's what we're up to. All right. That tire shop in the UK with the young guys who hadn't really ever worked on anything. I think they did 1, 2, okay, maybe 10 too many ugga-duggas with the air gun. I've never had lug nuts ever in my life be that tight. So this is gonna be fun. Well, there's a fear realized.
Turns out they're tight.
Idiots! So tight. Actually snap that off. Now, okay, fair enough, I was using an adapter to go from half to 3/8, but still should never break.
This is why we generally try to do everything ourselves, because this is what happens when other people work on your truck.
Okay, so that was fun. Now everything looked great though. So we adjusted the left rear parking brake the most, which is what I suspected. Right rear, just a couple extra clicks. No leaks, no anything really, no play, no movement, any of the wheel bearings, trunnion bearings, those are the ones that are on top and bottom of the front knuckle there. Tie rods and everything are good, and I'm just shaking everything, you know. It's like that old idea of kicking the tires. It's kind of silly, but I mean, it really does make a difference. I found a loose wheel bearing when we were all the way in South America. Not good, it shouldn't happen, but I just tightened it up a half turn and it was fine. Kept it on there for another 50,000 miles till we got home, and I did a full rebuild of the front end. So I don't know, you can find stuff by doing this. Probably the best part of doing it yourself is just so you can see. Brake pads are okay, but mental note, the front, need it next. The rear Toyota pads I did right before we left, they still look great. The only reason they'd look bad is if there was a stuck caliper, and so it's just burning off brake material as we're driving. But everything looks good. I'm super pleased that there's no leaks. I mean, we've been doing so many miles, fair amount of off-road. We've been buying fuel where it's cheap, so we've been running really heavy at times, and there's just no issues, no leaks, no nothing. So I'm happy. And now we'll have a better parking brake. So the only bummer is I've never in my entire life had lug nuts be that tight ever. And so, and you know, when I was a kid, I probably used an air gun myself even to put some on, but never that crazy. So that was really frustrating. And again, it's the one time someone's touched our truck since we bought it. So yeah, it's just that reminder to never let anyone work on your truck. And I understand that you have to, a lot of people need to. For myself, we did let somebody touch it. The bottom end bearings, we didn't want to do it out in the dirt, and so the guys at Fit Garage did it. And so you really though have to trust who you're letting work on it. So Dusty looks good. I'm happy. I hated doing that, I've been avoiding it, but this perfect slab was so much easier than doing it in the dirt, so much cleaner. So yeah, now we don't have anything else to do, so I'm happy. Back on the road.
Well, after that successful maintenance stop, we were in search of some elevation, because it was hot, and Tim had spotted something on the maps that not only fit the bill, but also looked pretty interesting. Up on top of the mountain sat some lonely Roman ruins, so with our fingers crossed that we could make it up there, we began to climb. Finding camp spots based on satellite images can require some patience, because there can be a bit of trial and error. Roads may not exist anymore, they may just look like a road from above but are in fact a landslide or a wash. They might be completely overgrown, and more often than not, they're closed off. So when we turned onto this slightly smaller road, we breathed a little sigh of relief and did our last little bit of climbing. Now before we make camp, we wanted to check out these ruins, and first up was what Tim had seen on the map, a Roman bath. That's right, a real Roman bath that was just sitting forgotten in the middle of this caldera up here. Okay, so this is pretty cool. Tim found this on the map, and it is, I guess, an old Roman bath, and it's in the caldera of a volcano, and it's huge. This is the main big pool. There's this pool, which is like the size of a swimming pool, and probably 10 feet deep, and perfectly made. The construction is absolutely mind-blowing. And then up all around there's like little lookouts and forts up above. But yeah, this is pretty crazy. I imagine there was some sort of hot spring type thing flowing in here. But it's pretty crazy to just walk on these stones and sit on the edge of this crazy construction and wonder what it was like. I'll have to do some research and see if there's any information about more of the history of what this is and why it's here and what it was used for, but it really is mind-blowing. Absolutely. It's so big. This was crazy. We were standing on such incredible history. I will say you should be glad that smell-o-vision doesn't exist, because it smelled pretty terrible down here. In fact, the smell seemed to attach itself to us for the rest of the day. It was kind of like that Seinfeld episode.
What, do you smell something?
Do I smell something? What am I, hard of smelling?
You can see over there where Tim is standing, the shepherds had made a way for livestock to get to the water, or back out once they had gotten themselves in. Once our noses had had enough, we headed back up the hill to explore some of the less pungent ruins. Okay, so the plan now is we're gonna see if we can make our way. We both kind of doubt that it's gonna happen up to that top lookout because it looks really cool.
So hopefully you enjoyed that drone footage.
Yeah.
Because it is remarkable, and there's almost no info online, and oddly I don't understand why until we used a VPN, Turkey was blocking results on the history of this.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't want it abused, but they know it's here. It's
maybe
on
it's
Google Maps, so
something?
maybe a religious
Yeah,
thing.
I'm not
Yeah, it was
sure.
a Christian era, sort of, but Roman also, so it's kind of confusing.
There's a lot of religions around.
Yeah, there's too
this
many.
area.
And so there's a watchout tower on this mountain that is just visibly is not as good. We did find a website that talked about this area, and there's all sorts of history here. The town that we actually drove through has history back to almost 2,000 years ago.
Yeah.
But this one, you can just tell the size of the blocks are almost like Inca-sized blocks.
Yeah,
I mean,
and it's so
ridiculously
nice.
sized. No human could pick them up. So you can just see that use of technology there of some sort to roll them in place or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's much more stout. So we'd like to get up to it. I don't think we will. The drone footage
looks
is probably as good as we
pretty
get.
hard to get up there.
But this one over here is like little bricks. I mean, they're big by today's standards with how heavy they'd be. But they're small considering what we see up there. So that seems like the nice one.
And it's at the very tippy top.
Yeah. And the article I read also said the same thing. They said, for whatever reason, the much better built one, and they called it a fortress. And once we got the drone up there, it looks just like a little tiny wall, like a little hut from here. But once we got the drone up there, you can see the spring. They have a perfectly square little spring with water in it. So I guess you could hold out up there for quite a while. So I hope we make it, but we probably won't.
We'll take you along for whatever portion of it that we make.
Look at that corner.
So insane.
Well, look at that. Cut in.
Yeah, and then
So was there a section of metal or something else that capped it to make a nice little capped end? So in the article we read, they talked about these terraced hillsides, that when the Greeks were here, somehow they had some technology to farm these hillsides that are very dry. When they left, the people who've been here ever since, no one's really figured it out. You know, obviously now with pumps, I'm sure you could put water into them and everything, but they were just saying that these terraced hillsides have been basically inactive for, I don't know, almost 1,000 years or whatever.
it's pretty insane.
Yeah. Look at that rock. I mean, to move that?
All right, as you can see, I'm sweaty. It took a lot of bushwhacking to get here.
We're not here yet.
But Tim led the way, and
Yes.
look what we just spotted. Oh!
This is the kind of stuff that blows my mind. You know, over 1,000 years ago, somebody building this. Come on.
Like, we can barely get up here, let alone build something like that.
But the
up here.
size of the stones down there, they're the size of a person, but they're stone and weigh, 50 people or whatever.
There's Dusty down there. Alright, putting the camera back because I can't hold the camera and climb up this. But we'll let you know, hopefully, when we're at the top. Ugh.
Knocked it over yet. Ridiculous.
So cool.
So cool. It's touching history.
You want to take a photo?
I mean, it's just a series of arches going this way. And you can see the little keystone right in the middle, holding it all together. And look at the extra weight that's now on top of it with all that rubble that's sitting there.
So insane.
So, not that you didn't see us climb up here, but I mean, this is a bunch of fresh water at the absolute highest point of a mountain.
And it's massive.
Yeah,
And it's perfect.
yeah, perfectly done. Lasting pretty well considering it had zero maintenance for a long, long time. And so if this was the fort, or if this was the holdout, one of the biggest issues, I'm sure, would be water, and you've got that taken care of. But in the most unlikely place, on the top of a mountain.
Yeah. It's just, wow. It's so tough. I honestly don't even know like what to show you. I'm having trouble taking it all in. It's so much to look at and so amazing, and I like the camera for sure can't capture it, but I'm also having trouble even trying to capture it. Cool carvings all over in here. A little cross right there, maybe you can see. And then looking over onto that hillside, there's the other fort, the other lookout, which isn't apparently as good. But you could just wave over and tell everybody, it's good over here.
So it looks like this piece perfectly fits in there. It doesn't look like it was carved to fit in there. I think these were all solid blocks, but who knows? I'm no expert, but it looks like weathering, just cracked it. And this piece perfectly, if you were to pick it up, it's all finished on the front and the sides. And then this is all sort of naturally sharp and jagged, but it just popped out and down. But I mean, these pieces are just huge, and we're on the top of this mountain. Mind-blowing. And then there's even decorative little lips put into it. They had to do the whole line all the way around the front, which just would have been so above and beyond just building a basic fort to have a fort. That's what blows my mind, is that everything seems to be done above and beyond in the hardest place to get to.
think it's about dinner time now.
Yeah.
So wish us luck getting back down the mountain, because that's actually the harder part, I think,
Yeah,
than
we'll see
getting
how
back
that
down. So I don't think we'll be filming much getting back down, but we'll see at the bottom. We made it back to the truck, as you can see, and it's a few hours later now. We got back and moved to this little spot right under the ruins, and it's pretty amazing. We took some rinse-off showers because we were pretty dirty and itchy after going up and down that hill, bushwhacking, and I just can't even describe how cool stuff like this is that we get to do, and it's really one of the things that makes the way we're living worthwhile. And unfortunately, this is so rare. The world is not as wild and open as I think I had imagined it, and maybe that's because I grew up in the American Southwest and it's pretty open there. There's a lot of roads from all the old miners, and yeah, you can just kind of explore, and there's remote places. And yeah, that's a lot more rare than I think I ever realized. So finding something like this is pretty special, and getting to wander around by yourself on these amazing old ruins and get to camp here, yeah, it's pretty cool. So overwhelming kind of day, and overwhelming to try and capture what this looks like and how it feels, but hopefully you got a little taste of how incredible today was and how unique it was as well. So thank you guys for coming along and watching, and I think I'm gonna go read a book and relax and enjoy the sunset that's just about to happen. So I'll see you next time.